Hello and welcome to Criminal Profiling, episode 26. Today marks day one of a deep dive into the topic of family. I can think of one author who referred to family as public enemy number one. And the reason he did so was because he felt family were the least likely to allow you to freely express yourself in any which way, to change and to grow or to experiment. They always expected you to act or behave a certain way, and if change came, they were very cautious of that change and very critical of it. So many listeners will know that I've been collecting true crime data, astrological true crime data, for over 25 years now. The result was an extremely large encyclopedic book, and also a database to go with that. So we're going to refer to the book and cover that chapter in the next 2 or 3 series. So let's begin with family. There are vast differences between the people represented in this family series, which can range from one who murders their wife to one who repeatedly murders their own babies. The family is ruled by Cancer, the 4th house, and the moon, though the reasons for murdering family members may involve completely different signs, houses, or planets. Therefore, it is best not to give Cancer, the 4th house, or the moon undue attention until it is warranted to do so. And by that I mean when we're looking into a crime and we're pulling out keywords that we want to look into, they may have nothing to do with Cancer. A person, one brother may kill another brother in the heat of an argument and not have a single negative aspect with Cancer, the 4th house, or the moon. It may be that one brother is exceedingly bad-tempered and has no control, and in the heat of a fight, a murder occurs. So we'll begin by taking a look at some of the correspondences we need to keep an eye on. The first one, of course, is family, and it is ruled by Cancer, the 4th house, and the moon. Husbands are ruled by Libra, the 7th house, and the ruling planet Venus is included because it is the ruling planet, although we're mostly focused on Libra and the 7th house because it rules marriage and partnerships, particularly the marriage partnership in this case. Husbands are also ruled by the sun. So we got wives, who are ruled by Libra, the 7th house. Again, we include Venus because it is the ruling planet of Libra, and also the moon, the feminine moon. Again, Libra because it rules marriage partnerships. Next, boyfriends. They are ruled by Leo, the 5th house, and the sun. Because the sun is the ruling planet of Leo, we include it. And that's the only reason in this case. Boyfriends are also ruled by Mars, the male. We want to keep an eye on that. The male symbol, Mars, which rules young men. And Venus, because it is the planet of attraction. So you want to keep an eye on that planet of attraction, see who they are attracting or who they are attracted to. And so that's why we include Venus. Leo is in the 5th house, is the sign and house which rules romance. When you initially meet somebody in the throes of romance, new relationships kind of fall under Leo, as opposed to long-term relationships, which fell under Libra, which we found husbands and wives under. Long-term relationships, right? Leo are the short-term relationships, romance, adventure, and stuff, entertainment value, things like that. Next, girlfriends are ruled by Leo in the 5th house. Again, for the same reason, boyfriends were ruled by Leo in the 5th house, because it rules the initial romances that you're going to have. Short-term romances that could go to long-term, but right now, and in Leo, they are still in the short-term cycle, and it's ruling just romance. Now, the sun rules Leo, so we're including the sun again, just like we did with boyfriends. So girlfriends will have Leo, the 5th house, and the sun, because the sun is ruling planet for Leo. We're also including Venus again, because Venus is the planet of attraction. Just like we included it with boyfriends. We want to see who they're attracted to and what's going on. And lastly, we have children, and they are ruled by Leo in the 5th house and the sun. All three. You want to keep a close eye on all three in this case. Whereas girlfriends and boyfriends, the sun was included only because it was the ruling planet. In this case, with children, actually include the sun, pay very close attention. Leo, 5th house, and the sun, as well as the moon. The moon in particular for very young children or babies. But we include that because children are children. And where do you draw that line? So keep an eye on the moon. And children as a word is ruled by Leo, the 5th house, and the sun. Okay, so in a single year, the United States may see up to 900 or more spousal murders by husbands. and approximately 475 spousal murders by wives. And that was taken in 2016. So in a single year, 900 murders committed by husbands, as opposed to 475 by women, the wives. That's a lot. That's actually a lot. It might surprise some people out there who aren't familiar with statistics a lot. That's a lot of ladies out there murdering, eh? Oh, yeah. Okay, next. 2 main indicators for murder in the family. Stressors. Indicators or stressors, you can substitute each word. 2 main stressors leading to murder in families are, number 1, divorce. And who do we turn to for divorce? Libra, the 7th house. Its ruling planet is included. Venus. Venus is the ruling planet of Libra. We also include Uranus, because for divorce, that can be sudden and unexpected. You want to include that possibility, the sudden and unexpected breakups. That's Uranus, can sneak up and surprise you. Where you're looking into Libra, it's actually happening with Uranus. So keep an eye on Uranus if Uranus is involved somehow in the relationship, especially. That's when you get deeper into it, into the chart. Where is Uranus? Is it connected to, say, Venus? Or is it in Leo or Libra? Somehow connected to their relationship and then afflicted. That's when you would include Uranus. But you always include it in the initial looking into divorce, because you want to make sure you rule that out or rule it in. Next, unemployment is the next reason for murder in families. Unemployment, yeah, the big stressor. Capricorn, 10th house, and Saturn. Capricorn and 10th house really focus on those two. But the Saturn is included because it's the ruling planet for Saturn. Keep an eye on them because, like I say, those energies are very close. And if Saturn is in a particular sign of work, it could come out that way. So you want to pay close attention to Saturn as well. Don't disclude them. Even though your main focus is Capricorn, 10th house also includes Saturn. And pay close attention to him too, because he can be tricky that way, depending on the sign he's in, house, etc., if you know the house. Okay, next up. So those were the 2 main indicators or stressors, divorce or unemployment. 2 leading reasons for killing a spouse or family member are revenge and altruism or compassion. We'll get to that one. First, revenge. Oh, it can show in so many ways in one's chart. It's incredible. But we have to include them all, right? You got to rule them all out when you're doing charts. So first, reasons for killing a spouse or family member, revenge. We have the signs Scorpio, Pisces, and Capricorn for revenge. Then we have the 8th house, 12th house. Notice we didn't do the 10th house of Capricorn because that's vocation. We're focused on revenge. 8th house, 12th house. 8th house for Scorpio, and actually it rules enemies, secret enemies. Hidden enemies are ruled by the 12th. And Pluto is the ruling planet of Scorpio, so we include that. Pluto is a very dangerous planet in crime. Neptune, we include Neptune for the deception and stuff, and for the misunderstandings that can occur in revenge, because someone can believe that their wife is having an affair and go after them for revenge. Meanwhile, it was a complete distortion of reality, Neptune. So keep an eye on Neptune and watch for those potentials. And lastly, Saturn, because it rules death, psychopathy, coldness, that sort of thing, ruling planet of Capricorn. Another example could include children. I mean, when there's an infidelity revenge, or when the children are identified with the wife, and the greatest revenge on her is to kill them. And that's often how that can occur. Now, next, altruism, or compassion, is ruled by Pisces, the 12th house, which belongs, of course, to Pisces, 12th sign. Venus, for compassion and stuff, you want to rule in Venus. The moon, for their emotions and understanding, compassion, right? You want to include the moon. Jupiter, which rules kind of compassion, and just think of Jesus. Jesus is Jupiter. That's kind of where he came from, the astrological Jupiter. King of the skies, you might say. So we have Pisces, the 12th house, Venus, moon, and Jupiter, who rules your morals and compassion, higher love, spiritual love, things like that. So as an example, we'll include the husband cannot bear the thought of his family suffering because of him, often involving money or job loss and those stressors. And by killing his family, he is preventing further future suffering. At least that's the way he perceives it, right? In some cases, the husband wants to commit suicide after murdering his spouse but does not wish to leave the children behind to grow up knowing what he did or to leave them as orphans, and so he kills them. As for the word compassion, compassion can be selective and may derive from a multitude of possible combinations in the chart. A potential victim may manage to hit a soft spot or cause the murderer to see them as a person rather than an object, increasing their chances of escape via showing of empathy. Extreme narcissism, ruled by Leo, fifth house, and the sun primarily, and also Jupiter, rather than compassion. So narcissism rather than compassion is another possibility. For example, when a murderer concludes, if I can't have her, nobody can. It is a completely selfish act. Another planet which one would need to consider, therefore, is Jupiter, which can give very similar results and involves self-importance, status, etc. Certain combinations involving Saturn or Pluto, control or obsession, can also produce similar results, but under closer scrutiny, the distinctions between them generally become more easily defined, the more you know about each case. In my own book, I began each chapter including some statistics for those who are interested to see which sun sign was the most involved in the murders of families, etc. And so that's all included and will be included in this program. But as for individual cases or doing criminal profiling, statistics are of absolutely no value. And if they do anything, they cause trouble and mislead people. So they're of actually no value. I don't use them at all. I have no interest in them, actually. I have only interest in individuals, because that's the way you track them and catch them and separate suspects. Otherwise, it's just not much use to me. But for the sake of completeness, I'm going to show those charts now, because some people do find that interesting. And ideally, if you're thinking about people who are focused on family members, kill family members, are really focused on family or want to control the family, and really do have a focus on the family, then we really should see a predominance of Cancer, the fourth house of the moon, or of the element water. Cancer is a water sign, the fourth house is a water house, and the moon is a water planet. The chapters and the statistics are divided into husbands, wives, and children, and then included all together as totals for the complete totals of the 86 charts. And you will see yourself, or what you expect to see predominant generally is predominant. So if you're expecting a family-focused section to have a predominance of Cancer, the fourth house, or the moon, or of the element water, you always include the element as well. So Cancer is the water sign, the fourth house a water house, the moon is a water planet. So for instance, in a section where you're expecting to see more Scorpio or something through revenge or family-oriented things through Cancer, the fourth house, or the moon, or the element water. You include the element water, of course. The Cancer is a water sign, the fourth house a water house, the moon is a water planet. So you want to keep close an eye on those elements. And just as an example, the elements for the totals of all 86 charts, in those totals you have fire at 24, water 26, air 15, earth 21. So water is predominant, as it should be. Because when one is thinking revenge, that is emotional. That's emotional anger and things build up. And so Scorpio is the perfect sign for that. It's the fire of water. So without further ado, let's go through some of these tables. Okay, we'll first look at the sun signs of Chapter 1. There are 86 charts. Insofar as sun signs, Aries leads with 11. Then there's a good reason for this. It's because Aries is a fire sign. It's militant. So it involves control. It involves anger, rash anger, impulsive anger. It also represents the fact that domestic disputes are the most volatile one can come across. The most angry situations come out of domestic disputes. So it's not surprising that Aries leads. Next up, we have 4 signs. Cancer, which rules the family. Bonds within the family. Altruism, the leading reason for killing children. Family disputes that lead to murder, and the husband generally is the one to kill the kids out of altruism. And so that shows up, not surprisingly. Libra, it rules marriage contracts and marriage partnerships, so not surprising there. Scorpio also has 10, along with Libra and Cancer. So Scorpio is a biggie, and people are not surprised to hear Scorpio because it does involve revenge, sex, sex affairs, insurance, alimony, other people's money. A lot of times those things come into murders within the family. Lastly, we have Capricorn. Capricorn involves control, power, and greed. Next, we separate these 86 charts into the murder of wives, murder of husbands, and murder of children. Keep in mind that during the murder of wives, this may also involve the murder of children. Okay, it's not separated into wives only. It's wives sometimes with children, sometimes not, but the wife is murdered in every instance. Okay, continuing. And these are all sun signs. So here we have, again, we have a new leader. We have Capricorn. This shows the husband, the men most often, involves control, greed, or power in the murder of their wife. Next up, we have Cancer and Aries as secondaries. They have 4 charts each. Of course, Cancer involves the family. These are where it involves the children as well. This is where altruism comes in the bond. And then that is why I think you're seeing Cancer in here, is because these are the murders that involve not only the wife, but the children as well. And Aries, of course, is playing a big role because, as said before, it's fiery, it's militant and masculine. It involves rash, impulsive, anger, control. Again, very masculine thing. Now, if we go to the murder of husbands, we have another new leader, and this time it's Scorpio, which rules revenge, sex affairs, insurance, or partners' money. So it's not surprising that this now takes the leading role because it is most often because of affairs or insurance that a woman may murder her husband. Those are the leading reasons. Revenge, money, stuff like that. And they're both ruled by Scorpio. Right behind Scorpio, we have Leo at number 3. There could be children involved here, but more likely it is the fact that Leo involves the ego. So it could be narcissism and stuff like that comes into it, but also romance. And that's where I'm kind of tending toward the romance there, but it does involve ego because it is Leo. When it comes to children, we can quickly see they are not the focus. There's no one standout leader. We have the usual suspects. We have Cancer, the womb, and altruism. Well, we'd expect to see that because this is about children who are most often killed out of altruism in family murders. So Cancer does take that leading role. But we also have Libra, which rules marriage contracts and partnerships, which are breaking up in this instance, causing murder. Not surprisingly that it shows up here. Scorpio, not surprising again because it is such a wide-ranging sign and it's very popular when it comes to murder in family situations. It involves affairs, secret affairs, other people's money, alimony, revenge, sex. It involves so many things that are so often involved in family murders. So it's not surprising to see Scorpio there. Then we get to the secondary numbers, which we don't even have to focus on, but we have Leo and Taurus, both with 3. Leo, not surprising. We just talked about Leo as being reflective of children. The ego is there because it is the sign Leo, but also and largely because of romance. Romance often comes into family murders. So, but then we have Taurus, which just comes out of nowhere. And this is sort of like seeing somebody as an object or a possession, things like that. So in a sense, it's not surprising, but you can actually feel the weakness coming in here because the whole chapter isn't really focused on children. Children aren't generally the focus of murder in family situations. It's usually the wife is the focus of the murder, kids killed out of altruism, that sort of thing. They're usually victims of another circumstance, that being between the husband and wife, and the children pay the price, that sort of thing. And it reflects here. Next, we'll be looking at the quadruplicities of Chapter 1. And like we did with the sun signs, we'll begin with the full chapter of 86 charts. In this case, we get cardinal signs leading at 41 charts. This is not surprising at all because it reflects what we already learned with the sun signs and what we just covered. The cardinal signs involve Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. Note that the fixed sign comes in second, and one of the fixed signs was Scorpio. We discussed Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn, the 4 cardinal signs, but we also discussed Scorpio. We'll take this up again next week. This is all the time we have. We'll see you then.